We have full team coverage, and including our CNBC contributor and friend Helima Croft of RBC Capital Markets. She is going to join us for the entire hour tonight. She just put out a big research note on what happened. She is here to talk about that move, why we're not maybe seeing a bigger move. And Helima Croft, thank you very much for spending your Sunday live with us here in our studios. You wrote in your note that basically I'm going to summarize, don't think this is over. Don't assume because the market's fairly muted that this is over. What is your takeaway?
I think the thing we have to watch is, what is the Iranian response? And I think a lot of people are saying, okay, the worst is over. The United States hit these facilities. What can Iran do? It has no interest in basically stopping ships from going through the Straits of Hormuz. That would hurt themselves economically. But if you're Iran and you believe that this is potentially a regime change exercise, and the statements from President Trump today seemingly signal that he is thinking about regime change possibly, what cards do Iran have left to play? You target U.S. troops in the region, more U.S. strikes, you go for energy supplies, you potentially drive up the price of oil and make people in the West rethink this action.
You're with us all hour. We're going to get much more in just a minute, but I do want to kind of walk through the energy move, or maybe lack thereof, that we are seeing right now. Oil is higher. Oil's up about 4%. Natural gas is up just over 1%. So again, the moves, they are probably, thankfully, not huge. But this could keep oil and gas stocks hot. Morgan, as you guys have talked about in overtime and more, oil and gas stocks, they have moved higher over the past month. One thing is clear. The price of oil determines the path of stocks. You can hate it, you can be annoyed by that, but it is the reality. As the price of oil goes up, oil stocks tend to go up. As the price of oil goes down, price of oil does tend to go down. Helima just noted, the focus right now is on the Strait of Hormuz. But really, there are three key risk areas that we have to focus on. Obviously, the Strait of Hormuz on the upper right, just below Iran, that is the main one. But there's also the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, which is right across the bay from Yemen. And, of course, the Suez Canal. Areas where a lot of tankers, a lot of oil, all kind of congregate in a relatively narrow areas. Those are three areas of the world that S&P and others say you need to focus on. Now, why isn't the price of oil moving up more? Well, it's because there is still a lot of oil that is flowing. In fact, there is more oil going out than just a month ago. I emailed back and forth as well with Sam Madani. He is at tankertrackers.com today. And here's what he told us. Quote, we are still seeing oil exported out of Iran. And even this morning after the bombings, tankers are approaching Iranian oil terminals for loading. After the initial bombings by Israel, the Iranians scattered their entire tanker fleet away from Karg Island. That is kind of their main point. They moved many of the ships as far off the coast as they can, some of them to a place facing the Gulf of Oman, and most are still empty, even though exports remain elevated. In other words, folks, we are still seeing a lot of Iranian oil get exported. It just may be not done in the traditional way. And lastly, this is not just an oil story. There are huge natural gas and LNG implications as well. Remember, about 20%, Morgan, of the world's liquefied natural gas also passes through the Strait of Hormuz, mostly from Qatar. So watch shares of big U.S. LNG exporters like Cheniere and Venture Global as well.
Okay, we'll continue to watch those.
All right, Helima, we kind of, that was the best I could do in 90 or so seconds. Did we hit the risk points, you think, adequately?
I think we also have to watch the situation in Iraq. I mean, Iraq is responsible for about 4 million barrels of production, OPEC's second largest producer. Iranian-backed militias operate very close to the Iraqi oil fields in the south. Iran has the ability through its proxies to hit multiple locations, multiple energy infrastructure sites. So we focus so much on the straits, but there's a lot at play in the region when it comes to energy if Iran wants to go down that path.
So it sounds like that the risk may be just as high that Iran takes out some frustration, takes out some aggression on energy assets in Iraq on the ground as it may on the water.
I think we need to look at the full spectrum of energy sites. Let's go back to 2019, Brian. Remember, after we reimposed maximum pressure sanctions, Iran and its proxies hit multiple targets. They hit ships off the coast of Fujairah in the UAE, right outside the S-curve of the Straits of Hormuz. They hit the East-West pipeline. That's a critical de-risking pipeline. And they also hit Saudi Arabia's Abqaiq facility. Now, what we've been told from security experts is if they had wanted to sink those tankers in 2019, they could have done so. The mines were above the waterline, not below. They opted to send a warning shot. Even when it came to Abqaiq, most security experts say they could have done far more damage to that facility, potentially taken that facility offline for months, but opted for a warning shot. So the question is, does Iran revive that playbook in this situation, or do they basically try to off-ramp this? The problem, though, is, are they really willing to trust the United States is willing to pursue negotiations at this stage?